shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. And Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 8th day of April 2019. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads already, we urge you to be extremely careful, observe the rules of the road, be courteous as well. Remember that the life you save may be your own. The roads of the Cayman Islands are wet this morning. We've had some rain early, around about after 6 o'clock. We had another shower as well in the Georgetown area and probably further east as well. So roads are wet. You need to give yourself extra stopping distance behind other vehicles when you're driving, because you have less traction on the roads when they're wet. And remember the rule of the road: when you're driving behind someone, 1 car length for every 10 miles an hour. I know people don't observe that in the Cayman Islands, and they love to tailgate. Whenever you have a rear end accident and you are in the rear of the other car, you are 10 times out of 10, 9.5, 9.99%, or 99.99% wrong when you hit someone from the rear. So do not tailgate, especially when the roads are wet. Pay attention to the car in front of you, the cars in front of you, not just the one car, but all of the cars that are ahead of you as well. Because sometimes when you're driving, especially when you're driving at night and you see you see brake lights up ahead, you know that everyone is going to start to slow down. So you can start to make your adjustments early. You have to be smart when you're driving on the roads, folks. It isn't something that comes automatic. You have to be smart, and you cannot afford to take risks, because when you do take risks, you're putting other people's lives at risk as well. You want to be extra careful when it comes to cyclists this morning as well. Remember, when it's raining, your visibility is reduced considerably also. And if those cyclists are not wearing flashing or have flashing lights on their bikes or something like that, it is very difficult for you to see them as well. So we urge you to be extremely careful on the roads. Please, please, please. I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. 9 times out of 10, and this morning it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. You can email us at For The Record. That is one word, For The Record, at CANDW.KY. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And, of course, you can follow us simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. For those of you who are celebrating birthdays today, I don't have any in specifically, but if you know someone, certainly send their name in and we will acknowledge their birthday today as well. Those of you who are feeling a little bit under the weather, whether you're at home or whether you're in a hospital, we want to wish you a speedy recovery as well, and we know that the prayers of your friends and the prayers of your families are with you, and hoping and praying for a speedy recovery as well. We should have some guests on the studio. Not sure whether or not they're going to be here at 8 o'clock instead of 7:30. We should be talking about the new heads at the fire service, and we will also be talking about later on about funding and for early childhood education. On the weekend, I want to say kudos again to Feed Our Future Cayman. They put on their annual Feed Our Future 100-mile cycle ride yesterday, starting at Papagayos in West Bay. Good turnout for that event as well. And I would venture to say all of those who wanted to finish the ride did finish minutes after 5 in the morning. By midday, some people, or even probably even before midday, some people were already back at Papagalos as well. It entailed riding from Papagalos, going through Birch Tree Hill, going around the Turtle Farm, taking the old road to the cemetery, getting on the bypass, then going on the old road, cross the Ritz-Carlton, cross the waterfront, through South Sound, then up on Spot Street to Frank Sound, the first stop around Frank Sound, then around East End out to Rum Point and back, and one more loop around East End, that 19-mile loop, and then back down to Papagayos. For We're the Cause, always every year, and they do an excellent job. Lots of the rest stops had a lot of refreshments, water, Gatorade, fruits, whatever you name it, they had it there for us, and everyone enjoyed their time as well. Something also of note, there's a gentleman by the name of Mr. Alan Harcombe. He's a parent of a student at the Lighthouse School, and he will be riding 1,000 miles in the Cayman Islands in 10 days, to raise funds to purchase and the installation of a specialty playground equipment for the school, and to purchase iPads as personal communication devices for children with speech difficulties. The objective of the fundraiser is to bring awareness to the school and to raise at least $50,000 for the this ongoing project. Mr. Harcombe started cycling around Cayman on Thursday the 4th, and he's scheduled for completion on Saturday the 13th of April. So, not only do you want to respect all cyclists on the road, but when this gentleman is out there riding, you want to have respect for him as well. I have to say, yesterday, with the police's, the Royal Cayman Islands Police Services assistants, the ride, Feeder Future ride, went extremely well. We had the privilege of having one police vehicle, a car, and one motorcycle as well. Both proved to be extremely useful, especially the motorcycle, who was much more versatile in terms of being able to move up and down the road to keep a check on the riders who were in front at times, the riders who were in the back, and also to ensure that we didn't hold up traffic as well. Excellent job, Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. Again, excellent job for those involved in the planning of the Feeder Future ride as well. And remember, respect all cyclists. Pay particular attention to Mr. Harcombe when he's riding. I think his what they've basically said, he will be riding at different times of the day, so no set time that he will ride. Also, if you're interested in contributing to this cause, you can email the Lighthouse School at lhsschool@gmail.com. Their phone number is 925-5940, or you can also call at 916-2901. You can also make cash deposits at CIBC First Caribbean. The account number is 571-8716. Remember, this is for a worthy cause. It is to purchase and install specialty playground equipment for the Lighthouse School, and also to purchase iPads as personal communication devices for children with speech difficulties. So this is for a very worthy cause. They're seeking to raise at least $50,000 for that, and Mr. Harcombe is doing his part by riding 1,000 miles in 10 days. That's 100 miles per day. And folks, that is not an easy task, especially if you're riding by yourself. If you have some other riders supporting you, someone who's prepared to maybe get in front of you when you're facing those headwinds to block the headwinds a little bit, it certainly helps in that endeavor. But again, we want to support the Lighthouse School, and there are several ways for you to do that, even if you don't want to get out there and cycle it like Mr. Harcombe is doing as well. What else do we want to talk about before we go to a break in about 2 minutes? The crosswalks on North Church Street. Getting some comments about those in terms of them being so close together, whether or not they're needed, whether or not this was well thought out by the NRA in terms of those crosswalks. Some people are fearful that if you're coming from Mary Street and you're turning, there is that possibility, because the crosswalk is so close to that intersection, there's a possibility that pedestrians may be hit by cars, vehicles that are turning as well. For those of you who traverse that area, who work in that area, if you have any comments in relation to those crosswalks and any suggestion, please bring them forward as well. And if you're working for the NRA, and if you have any comments or in relation to the reasons for putting them the way that they are, please let us know. My understanding also is that they have also established flashing lights there as well. And I have a good friend who works at the NRA, so he may give me a shout on a WhatsApp to explain the whole process there and the whole thought process in establishing those crosswalks. We're going to take a commercial break now, folks, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
The island of Cayman Brac, which sits on a southwest to northeast diagonal, offered excellent lee protection along most of its northern shore, with locations such as the Bight, Stake Bay, and Spot Bay being home to the majority of the maritime activity. Small communities who thrived on trade, fishing, and shipbuilding were established in these locations due to the combination of waters undisturbed by coral reefs and easy open access between land and sea. One of the largest sources of fresh water was provided through a large cleft known as Watering Place, which was located at the base of the limestone bluff near the Bight. Rain would drip down through the bluff, emerging at the fracture to provide the necessary water for the growing community of traders and shipbuilders.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced from The Maritime Heritage of the Cayman Islands by Roger C. Smith.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Circle of Love Women's Ministry and DCFS would like to thank our gold sponsors for their support of the annual Child Month Breakfast on May 11, 2019. Cayman National Bank, Persona Events, Wendy's, Book Nook, Marriott Beach Resort, Atlantic Kids, Foster's Food Fair, and Cayman Islands Monetary Authority. Thank you, gold sponsors, for empowering, impacting, and encouraging the future of the Cayman Islands. For more information on the Child Month Breakfast or to be a sponsor, contact Shanda Hunter at 922-3229.
The Cayman Pharmacy Group would like to thank the Cayman communities for their continuous support for over the past decade. CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy opened its doors in March 2000. West Bay Pharmacy first opened their doors in March 2004. The Cayman Pharmacy Group was established in July 2007. Throughout the years, our CPG family has provided more than just pharmaceuticals to our loyal friends and customers. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has protected the lives of our medical community by securing the best healthcare advice and pharmaceutical services. To us at CPG, you are more than just a number. So, we are taking the time to say thank you for choosing CPG. The Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Why my wife always asking if I'm in a rush when she's the one always making us late?
Might as well say, yeah, I'm in a rush and go buy the new Toyota Rush you've been talking about, because they on sale this month. Dial teacher.
The super special spring SUV sale at Vamped Motors. Save up to $4,400 with SUVs starting at only $23,500, like the 7-seater Toyota Rush. Save money, get cash back, or use the discount to upgrade features on the SUV of your choice, including the Toyota RAV4, the Fortuner, the Rush, or the Ford EcoSport. It's our super special spring SUV sale. Only at Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
Hello, I am Noel March, a small business owner in Georgetown for over 20 years. Small businesses depend on government to develop a quality infrastructure and environment that encourages entrepreneurs to create and grow local businesses, resulting in the creation of jobs and prosperity for Caymanians. Small businesses help drive our economy. Just as we have supported building the new airport, we must support the building of the new cargo and cruise port. It will give our tourism industry the opportunity to grow and Caymanian entrepreneurs the chance to shine. Support the port. Support our tourism.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I want to remind you our phone lines are open. Those of you who have things that you may want to talk about as well, you have about 8 more minutes to do so before the 8 o'clock news. And of course, if we have guests on, then we will be concentrating on the topics that those guests are here in the studio to discuss, which will restrict your ability to sort of insert other topics into the conversation. So I would encourage you, if you want to call in, call now. Since it's Government Monday, I will indulge in some government stuff. Minister of Tourism congratulates Cayman Airways for Best Airline in the Caribbean Award. This was a press release issued on the 5th of April. Minister of Tourism, Honorable Moses Connor, extends congratulations to Cayman Airways on being named the best airline in the Caribbean by TripAdvisor and a top specialty and leisure airlines within North America. It is a tremendous honor for Cayman Airways to receive such a prestigious awards, which are recognized globally as benchmark of excellence. Ranking in the top spots in 2 categories is a true validation of our national airline's quality and consistency. Whilst one award recognizes Cayman Airways' leadership in the region, the other acknowledges its strong standing among some of the biggest airlines in the world. Additionally, by being based on customer satisfaction surveys and the reviews of travelers, the TripAdvisor Awards demonstrate that Cayman Airways' provision of our distinctive Cayman-kind customer service is resonating with travelers and exceeding their expectations. Quite simply, these outstanding awards provide confirmation that the Cayman Airways brand is strong and our national airline is delivering the best airline experience in the Caribbean. Ministry of Tourism is very proud of Cayman Airways' commitments to continually enhance the passenger travel experience, and I would like to pay tribute to the crew members, staff, management, and board of directors for their stellar efforts in earning this well-deserved world-class recognition. That's coming from the ministry. We have 4 calls. We won't be able to take all 4 before the 8 o'clock news, but let's see how many we can take. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning. I wanted to make a couple of points regarding legalizing the same-sex marriage.
Okay.
It's just that once you open the door to legislate for any one group, you open the door so that other groups can come and advocate for their rights as well. So what happens if the pedophile or the rapist come and say, well, this is my sexual orientation, this is my rights, or I was born this way. So we might get the rapist and the pedophile who might be molesting your children or raping your children.
But every case would have to be looked at on its merits and whether or not beside the fact that they have rights, whether or not they have those specific rights under the Constitution or any law in the Cayman Islands.
That's what I'm saying. Let's not legislate wrong. So I support the government in not amending our laws. The Honorable Premier had stated that he was a key player in the new constitution that we had, and that we had the Ministers Association with them. They even went to England, right? And that it was a difficult task because the Ministers Association and the Premier wanted to make sure that our biblical view of the family was enshrined in the Constitution, and that the Bill of Rights didn't trample on that. So it was quite a difficult task. So I support the government, our legislators. I think they're correct in not legislating any wrongdoing. Or see, I too have done wrong. I too have sinned. What I'm trying to say is that we do have people who are orientated, sexually oriented one way. We've grown up with them in Cayman. We love them. Jesus said that we are to love God first with all our hearts, and then we are to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. So we as Christians, and just because Christians speak out, don't mean that it's a hate speech. What we're standing on is biblical principles. Jesus said to love others. So we love everybody. We love the pedophile, the rapist, the slanderer, the gossiper, and the homosexual. It's just a sin that we don't like. And we don't like our own sin too. And Jesus Christ died for my sins as well as other sins. So I want to offer the others who choose to think that we hate them. No, we love them. It's the sin that we don't love, nor do we feel that we should legalize in a sin.
Okay.
Because actually the Bible says that neither slanderers, gossipers, homosexuals, liars, thieves, immorals will enter the kingdom of heaven. So it makes it very clear. We're not lambasting anyone. We're just saying we love you. It's a sin that we hate. Okay. So even the foreign judges who want to change our definition, our biblical definition, we want to say to them, and the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, Caymanians, we stand on God's word. And if you look at all Western societies' laws are based on the Ten Commandments. Why do we want to throw them out of our societies now? If you look at societies that have thrown out those biblical standards, statutes, look at what has happened in those societies. In Cayman, foreigners come here. Don't we have over 130 nationalities now living and working with us in the Cayman Islands? It's those Christian principles that allow them to come here, live and work with us, and enjoy freedom, peace, and prosperity. So let's not throw out the Christian principles. It's a wonderful standard, God's standard, that has served us well all these years. And so I say again, we love all people, including the homosexual. It's the sin that we don't want legislated, nor do I want my sin legislated. But the answer for all of that is confess your sins to the Lord Jesus. He's faithful and just to forgive us from all of our sin and cleanse us from unrighteousness. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller, for that. We know we had 3 other calls on hold, but we've reached that time now for headline news. We encourage that caller to call back. We may have guests here after the 8 o'clock news. Let's wait and see. If not, the conversation will go on. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 7:59.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Finance Committee continues today in Legislative Assembly as lawmakers discuss supplemental appropriations to government's current budget. On Friday, Finance Minister the Honorable Roy McTaggart tabled the request to Finance Committee for appropriation changes. Some of the more significant details:
additional funding of $11.3 million for NGS 55, tertiary care at local and overseas institutions, $8.8 million, the main components of which are equity investments to enable the purchase of additional equipment for the fire service and for infrastructure repairs and equipment purchases for Her Majesty's Prison.
Other biggies include $8.8 million to cover the cost of additional health insurance premiums for the public sector, as well as $7.9 million, the most significant portion of which is for government to make an offer to purchase a privately owned building, which would eliminate, quote, significant rental payments by a specific agency within government. Finance Committee and Legislative Assembly meets at 9:30 this morning. The Department of Environmental Health has removed 93 derelict vehicles from communities throughout Grand Cayman since March 4th as part of its ongoing efforts to address some of the long-standing nuisances on the island. To supplement its existing fleet of operational trucks and maximize the number of derelict vehicles it can remove, the DEH has procured temporarily the services of Bawden's heavy-duty equipment. The DEH discourages residents from disposing of derelict vehicles in public spaces or in a manner that may be harmful to public health, urging instead that residents dispose of derelict cars at the Georgetown landfill free of cost. For additional information, you can call the DEH on 949-6696 or send an email to dehcustomerservice@gov.ky. In regional news, as major brands like Hilton continue to expand their presence in the Caribbean, the world's largest hotel company is ramping up its own plans in the region. Marriott plans to add more than 6,000 new hotel rooms in the region over the coming 3 years. That expansion will come across 40 different hotel properties in the region, part of a wider push in the Caribbean and Latin America that will see more than 100 hotel properties open in the next 3 years. 6 of those are pegged for the Dominican Republic, including a new Aloft Hotel in Punta Cana and the Ocean Club Resort, with the latter to be part of the company's luxury collection. Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Chris Barrow. Protesters outside the army headquarters in Sudan say they're now completely surrounded by security forces. For the past 48 hours, they've defied a curfew to call for the resignation of President Omar al-Bashir. An attempt by the security forces to break up the demonstration early on Monday was thwarted by elements of the military, who defended the crowd when they were fired on. Many people say they're trying to join the protest, but barricades have been erected across Khartoum to stop them. The United Nations says 2,800 civilians have been forced to flee fighting on the southern outskirts of the Libyan capital, Tripoli. Other people are trapped, and the UN has called for a temporary truce to allow for evacuations. The Turkish opposition leader, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, has said that the country's very democracy is at stake in the recount of ballots in Istanbul's mayoral election. It's his strongest comment yet on the governing AK party's challenges to its apparent defeats in major cities 8 days ago. In India, the BJP party of Prime Minister Narendra Modi has launched its election manifesto 3 days before the start of the nationwide vote. It seeks to help farmers with a major rural development programme and win over Hindu nationalists with the promise of a mega-temple. A Moscow court has released from house arrest the controversial Russian theatre director Kirill Serebrennikov. He's been held for nearly 2 years on embezzlement charges, which he says have been trumped up. And Tanzania says it's planning to ban single-use plastic bags shortly. The Environment Minister, January Makamba, told Parliament it was possible that a ban could come into force in July. The announcement comes 2 days after Kenya called on Uganda and Tanzania to take action against the use of plastic bags in an attempt to prevent them from being smuggled into its territory. In 2017, Kenya introduced one of the world's strictest bans on plastic bags. And that's the latest BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
I grew up with diabetes. The easy part is controlling it with insulin. The hard part is living with diabetes. But there's hope.
Sol Cayman and Asso Station dealers are teaming up with the Cayman Islands Diabetes Association in their goal to create awareness and provide education to their community. Until April 12th, 5 cents from every gallon of fuel sold will be donated to the Cayman Islands Diabetes Association on your behalf. Fill up at any Asso station today and fight diabetes together.
The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you.
This week at Kirk Home Center, light up on energy savings with 8-watt LED cool white light bulbs for $2.29 each. Stack shoes, slippers, and sneakers on an 8-tier shoe tower for $35.49. Save on Pratt & Lambert's 5-gallon gold exterior flat latex paint for $134.99. And enjoy patio dining with a 5-piece dining set including chairs, cushions, and table for $539.99.
Kirk's Home Center, you got a great deal in store for you.
All members of the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association, you are wanted. We need you to come to the annual business meetings to hear what's happening within your association so that with your help, we can have a more productive year.
Mark your calendars for these important dates. Grand Cayman, Wednesday, April 10th, 5:30 p.m. at the Georgetown Town Hall. And in Cayman Brac, Thursday, April 11th, 12:15 p.m. at the District Administration Building, upstairs, conference room.
Refreshments will be served at both meetings.
Come early, mix and mingle, and catch up with your fellow association members.
There will also be surprises at the meetings, but you have to be present to take part in the fun.
Remember our very important business meetings. Grand Cayman, Wednesday, April 10th, 5:30 p.m. at the Georgetown Town Hall. And in Cayman Brac, Thursday, April 11th, 12:15 p.m. at the District Administration Building, upstairs, conference room. We look forward to seeing you at the meetings.
Pleasant good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is 92%. Barometric pressure 29.98 inches and rising. The wind is east at 3 knots. Overnight low temperature was 75 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate winds and slight to moderate seas will continue over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as a ridge of high pressure lingers over the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving west. Forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 40% chance of showers. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of late night showers and temperatures falling to the low 70s. Your winds will be southeast at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. High tide will be this morning at 10:40, low tide this evening at 5:13, and the sun will set this evening at 6:40 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:13. And the outlook is calling for an increase in cloudiness and showers from tomorrow morning as an upper-level trough moves over the Gulf of Mexico. Also, a cold front is expected to become stationary over the extreme northwest Caribbean by Wednesday morning, supporting light south to southwest winds and seas across the Cayman area. Good morning once again, and taking a look what's happening traffic-wise. Remember, roads are wet. Some roads are wet, so please drive with extra caution. Coming from the east heading to Georgetown, expect some delays this morning on Shamrock Road and also the Linford Pearson Highway. Heavy traffic. And traffic coming from the Westway 4-way stop is moderate, and moderate flow of traffic as well on Eastern Avenue and Godfrey Nixon Way, as well as in and out of Georgetown on Shedden Road. Aidwood Street, steady bit flow in traffic. Traffic steady on Northstown Road coming from the Butterfield roundabout, heading towards the Industrial Park area. And coming from the Industrial Park area, heading towards the Butterfield roundabout, traffic is light to moderate. Steady bit flow in traffic on the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, heading to Georgetown, and from Georgetown heading to West Bay, light to moderate traffic flow. And traffic is steady bit flowing on Huldah Avenue. Moderate flow of traffic on Thomas Russell Way. Steady traffic coming off of the Linford Pearson Highway on Agnes Way, as well as the Bobby Thompson Way. And that's very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll update you traffic-wise, and steady traffic on Cool Road, some sections busy.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free estimate.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, and if they come now, I'm not sure that we're going to let them in the door. I'm only kidding. If they come, we will certainly entertain them, but we certainly thought that they would be here at least, for 8 o'clock. I'm sure that there's a valid explanation for them not being here, and hopefully our 9 o'clock guests will show up. And if they don't, folks, we have the best guests in the world out there, right behind your phones and behind your computers where you can send emails in and everything else. So those phone lines are opened up again. 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord. That is one word, fortherecord, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261. Follow us live on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Let's go to the old reliable Tradewinds newspaper. Whenever I don't have any guests and we have no calls, we will look at the Tradewinds newspaper. Tradewinds newspaper, how close can I get to this 8th of April? How about the 7th of April, 1966? Tradewinds newspaper. Some of the headlines on there: new neighbors. Tradewinds are getting new neighbors with the start of another building immediately to the north of our offices in the R.S. Watler building. That's the Selkirk Watler building. It is understood that the second building also being erected by Selkirk Watler will be essentially the duplicate of the first, except that access to the upper floors will be by way of an overhead passageway adjoining the two buildings, the two buildings, which will be otherwise separated by a 12-foot passage leading to the parking area at the rear. Now, at the rear of that building was also one of the blowholes there as well. The overall dimensions will be 54 feet by 40 feet, accommodating for rental of 3 offices, 18 by 40 downstairs, and 8 offices, 13 by 17 upstairs. It will be known as R.S. Watler Real Estate Building Number 2. Mr. Selkirk Watler, one of the visionaries in the Cayman Islands and one of the trailblazers when it came to real estate in the Cayman Islands as well. What else happened in April of 1966 here in the Cayman Islands? Film being made here. Jack Emack and Robert Rouveroy, both of Edmonton, Alberta, are on the islands producing a documentary film about Cayman for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. Emack is the producer and Rouveroy is doing the camera work. They came down on the last Elgin hotel tours from Vancouver. Remember now, some of the first organized tours to the Cayman Islands were from Canada. The CBC is particularly interested in Cayman. Why are they interested? Because of the Elgin tour, which flies 3,100 miles non-stop flight out of Canada every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks they came to the Cayman Islands. Long vacation for those people, 2 weeks. They stress that the film is to be a true documentary film and a true documentary, not a film for the promotion of tourism. While they have been here, they have been most impressed with the friendliness, honesty, kindness, and independence of the Caymanian as compared with people of other areas they have visited and worked in. Let's repeat that. They have been impressed with the friendliness. Let's talk about that. Friendliness. Do we still have it in the Cayman Islands? Yes, we do have it. Is it as friendly as it used to be? I would say no. And I would say part of the reason for that is that now there are more others than there are Caymanians. So the Caymanians that you meet, some of them, you will get that friendliness. But I would say that we're not as friendly as we used to be, as we were, say, in 1966. Honesty? No. Mainly for the same reason. These days, and you would have heard me on here on the show a few weeks ago talking about someone who left their wallet on top of the car. They were not interested so much in the money, but they were asking if anyone found it. There were other important documents in that wallet, including a U.S. green card and other documentation. That wallet was never returned, even though the person wasn't interested in their getting their cash back, because they saw little hope of that. But at least they thought that they would get the documentation back. Someone is probably going to try to use that green card to tamper with it and try to get into the U.S. And I can bet my bottom dollar that that person is not going to be a Caymanian who's trying to get into the U.S. on somebody's forged green card, because Caymanians can get into the U.S. simply by using their British passport and going through the visa waiver program, or they can apply for a waiver in their Cayman passport and go to the U.S. So honesty, not as much of it. Kindness, yes, the kindness is still there, but we see a lot of violence in the Cayman Islands that we didn't have in 1966. Independence, I'm not too sure about that. We're seeing more, depending on what you're talking about. We're independent from the UK. The UK in the mid-1970s, I believe it was 1975, stopped giving us any grant in aid. We had to forge for ourselves. They did help us with the airport, part of the airport, with the roads, but yes, we were independent. Now, independent from a personal standpoint, while we in the Cayman Islands profess to be so affluent, we're finding that the roles of those who are in need is getting larger and larger as well. So we don't have as many independent people in the Cayman Islands as we had before. There's more dependency. Some people may say, well, that's a result of globalism. We're becoming more dependent. We were a proud and independent people in the Cayman Islands at one time. So, there we go with that. What else do we have? Hotel training course. I'm sure we hear people talking about technical schools in the Cayman Islands, training schools, 1966. It has been announced that the Cayman Islands Hotel Association is to sponsor a training school for the hotel workers. The courses are to be taught at the Evening Institute, and you would have heard me talk about the Evening Institute that was established at the secondary modern school by so it would be established at the secondary school by Mr. Rudy Seltzer, another trailblazer in the Cayman Islands when it came to tourism. Not a born Caymanian, but certainly gave his life and soul to the Cayman Islands and to tourism in the Cayman Islands as well. So that course at the secondary school would be taught by Mr. Rudy Seltzer, manager of Club Inferno, the management of which will make him available to teach the classes. The course will start about June and will run for 5 weeks with classes 2 nights a week for 2 hours each night. On completion, the course successful candidates will be awarded a certificate of diploma, and the course and the Hotel Association will give preference to graduates of the school in filling employment needs. Those were the days, 1966, when Caymanians were competing against Caymanians for jobs. They didn't have to compete against foreigners. They didn't have to worry about the cliques within offices who ensure that when there's a job availability, they let their friends overseas know about it. Friends and family overseas know about the job. And right away, a Caymanian is disadvantaged for that job as well. What else? Ministry official here. B.B. Jupp, senior civil servant with the Ministry of Aviation, was on the island over the week and looking into the progress being made as to the airport, particularly with respect to improved lighting, communications, navigational, beacon, safety, and firefighting equipment, and so forth. While he found some progress had been made, much remains to be accomplished, and that a number of commitments that had been made by the various persons concerned with these works had not been fulfilled. Hope is expressed by local government authorities that Mr. Jupp will be able to bring pressure to bear to complete these works and improvements when he returns to London. So some of the work hadn't been done, but he's going to put pressure on people when he returns to London. So maybe it wasn't us that were creating the issues with this not being done. Maybe it were the people in London as well. And then in the 1966 edition of the Tradewinds, there is an article in there in relation to On the Roberts Highway. And that's an article by Mr. Silby H. Coe. You heard about Mr. Silby, photographer. He took a lot of family photographs. He, along with Junior, Junior used to work at the airport as well, Junior Miles. So Mr. Silby Coe wrote this. There are photographs in there with the seaplane about to land in the North Sound, and then there are photographs with the seaplane passengers disembarking in the North Sound. Now remember, the 1960s, also the time when the airport was being renovated, the runway was being renovated, being prepared for larger aircraft to come on the island. What did Mr. Silber said in the year 1966? The year 1966 opened with a wave of prosperity sweeping our island of Grand Cayman. Hey, there we go again, prosperous Cayman Islands. One of the major projects now underway is the reconstruction of the Owen Roberts Airport, the artery through which our prosperity has flowed. First a trickle, and now full flood. Our present generation know little, if anything at all, of the origin of our air services and why our airport bears the name Owen Roberts. On April the 10th, 1966, 13 years will have passed since that memorable morning when the Owen Roberts Pioneer Airline, Caribbean International Airways Limited, together with the lives of Commander Roberts and 6 Caymanians, came to tragic end. So not only did Commander Roberts lose his life in that fateful crash, but also the lives of 6 Caymanians as well. It is therefore not only appropriate but respectful to release a brief history of Caribbean International Airways at this time. And what a good time to do it now that we see Cayman Airways has received that international award as being the best airline in the Caribbean, amongst other things. He goes on to write, on November the 23rd, 1946, the same day on which the SS Black Bear, later known as the Caymanian, how many of you knew that? The steamship Black Bear, who became known as the Caymanian, arrived from Tampa to begin its regular service to the islands. Mr. King Parker, an American, came to Grand Cayman on a Strandery double-winged seaplane. His visit resulted in the formation of Cayman Islands Airways Limited, in which many Caymanians invested at £1 per share. Messrs. H. O'Marin and Company alone had over £1,000 in this company. £1,000 those days, folks, was a whole lot. After operating a one-plane service between Grand Cayman and Tampa, Florida for a period of about 14 months, Mr. Parker, who was the pilot of the plane, got the company into financial difficulties at Miami, Florida, and the plane was held at that port for indebtedness. The plane was en route from Tampa to Grand Cayman with passengers when one of its engines developed trouble and it stopped at Miami for repairs. Mr. Parker, without funds to pay off and fearful of the resulting consequences, fled to an unknown destination, leaving the plane stranded at Miami and the company sorrowful and perplexed. My uncle-in-law, this is Mr. Silbercoast speaking now, my uncle-in-law, the late E.D. Marin, who was chairman of the company, proceeded to Miami to investigate the matter and to endeavor to get the plane released. However, by that time, Mr. Parker had disappeared. That E.D. Marin, I believe, would have been Mr. Duncan Marin. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just at this time, another plane was soaring through the heavens on a mission which was to write the final chapter in the history of Caribbean International Airways Limited and the inauguration of a well-organized air service for the Cayman Islands. Wing Commander Owen Roberts was en route to Miami from Nassau, Bahamas. At the bustling airport in Miami, Florida, a tall, stately, and well-dressed man stepped off a plane and strolled towards the terminal. At this same airport, there was parked the ill-fated little Cayman Island Airways plane. When it says little, not little Cayman, but little in terms of the size of the plane, Cayman Islands Airways plane. Says his curiosity led him, the keen eye of this plane lover lost no time in promoting this little aircraft. His curiosity led him to approach Mr. Duncan Marin, who was standing at the airport at the time, to make inquiries. Mr. Marin and Wing Commander Roberts were standing face to face for the first time. There, the first contact was made, where the first pillar is the Roberts Highway. The first pillar in the Roberts Highway was laid. We're going to take a commercial break, and we will come back to this very intriguing story after this commercial break as well. Folks, please stay tuned.
Why my wife always asking if I'm in a rush when she's the one always making us late?
Might as well say, yeah, I'm in a rush and go buy the new Toyota Rush you've been talking about, because they on sale this month. Dial, teacher.
The super special spring SUV sale at Vamped Motors. Save up to $4,400 with SUVs starting at only $23,500, like the 7-seater Toyota Rush. Save money, get cash back, or use the discount to upgrade features on the SUV of your choice, including the Toyota RAV4, the Fortuner, the Rush, or the Ford EcoSport. It's our super special spring SUV sale. Only at Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
This Easter weekend, the Cayman Islands will welcome the rest of the Caribbean, and you do not want to miss it. Carifta 2019 takes place at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex from April 20th to 22nd. Watch the region's most talented track and field athletes compete and come cheer on your Cayman athletes. Get ready to raise your flags at the Caribbean's biggest athletic event this Easter weekend. It's Carifta 2019. Tickets start as low as $10. On sale now at CaymanCarifta2019.ky. See you at the games.
Carifta 2019.
It's all about unity and together.
Get your tickets now at CaymanCarifta2019.ky. Brought to you by the Cayman Islands Government, CUC, Salt Technology Group, the Cayman Islands Athletic Association, DART, Miracle Broker, Maples Group, Pinnacle Media, World Gym, and Radio Cayman.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. We're going to close the phone lines off a little bit longer so I can finish reading this article in the Tradewinds newspaper dated the 7th of March, 1966. The article entitled, on the Roberts Highway, written by Mr. Silby H. Coe, a well-known photographer in the Cayman Islands. And he, in this first section I'm reading, talks about the seaplane landing, spoke about the tragic death of Commander Owen Roberts, as well as 6 other Caymanians on that aircraft. And talking about Miami Airport, where this gentleman met Mr. Duncan Marin, and in describing Miami Airport, folks, you have to bear in mind that Miami Airport in 1966 was nowhere near the way it is now, so it was quite possible for someone to be able to see a plane or be standing by a plane and someone else, to be there. Of course, we didn't have all of the security and things that we have in airside terminals and stuff like that you have these days as well. So the article goes on to say Commander Roberts was curious about the plane and inquired from Mr. Marin with regards to its route, accommodations, etc. Mr. Marin then related to him the short and his history of the little aircraft. Mr. Roberts explained that he was commander of a squadron of the Royal Air Force during World War II, and was now in the West Indies seeking to pioneer an air route. After a lengthy discussion, Commander Roberts expressed his great interest in the matter, and upon an invitation from Mr. Duncan Marin to visit Cayman, arrangements were made for a plane to fly both of them to Grand Cayman for the purpose of investigating the possibilities of reestablishing an air service. Arriving in Grand Cayman, Commander Roberts immediately fell in love with the island. Who didn't? Tell me, who didn't, when after arriving in the Cayman Islands, fall in love with it despite the mosquitoes that some people complain about? So I'll read that again. Arriving in Grand Cayman, Commander Roberts immediately fell in love with the island and its people, and envisioning the great potential of an air service to this island, he lost no time in organizing and founding Caribbean International Airways. Our government decided to assist in this venture by a franchise of £500 annually for mail services. So that's how the Cayman Islands government contributed to that. They would finance mail services. So there was some seed money for the airlines. The company purchased 2 Catalina PBY, two Catalina PBY amphibious planes. A third was added later and established an air route between Jamaica, Grand Cayman, and Tampa, Florida. Later, the Jamaica-Belize service was also established. The first Catalina flight was made sometime during the later part of 1948. Exact date not available, when a Catalina flying boat aligned on the placid waters of the North Sound. So I talk about Miami in 1966, actually not 1966, but around about 1946, sorry. There was no airstrip in Grand Cayman in those days, and it was customary for Caymanians to wend their way by car and bicycles through the winding road to the North Sound to watch the plane splash down on the water, come to a halt, and unload its passengers into Benny Ross's boat to be ferried ashore. Commander Roberts and his Cayman Islands International Airways, acronym CIA, don't get that wrong, don't get that mixed up with the CIA that we now know, kept plugging away at the task of laying a formidable highway to progress and linking Grand Cayman with the outside world. Much advertising was done in various parts of the world. The newspapers clicked with the airline. Ordinary tourists as well as businessmen began to learn about Grand Cayman, the little one-time pirate island in the far back of beyond, where there was always afternoon until then, no dawn of a better day. Those are Mr. Silby's words. Through this artery of progress, there trickled the first few tourists, which were destined to roll in full flood to bring us not only a great influx of tourists and businessmen, but also hotels, tourist homes, banks, supermarkets, and now jet service and telephones. And like the great Mississippi, progress through this great artery will just keep rolling along. And then, of course, Mr. Silby's article was scheduled to continue in the next issue of the Trade Winds newspaper, and I'll try to find that for you if I have time as well. But we will browse through the rest of this newspaper as well. And we had some Bordentown news. Like I told you, Mr. Willie Wood was the correspondent for Bordentown, and in his column he talks about Captain Darrell Hunter, who was married to Coriel Marin, oldest daughter of H.O. Marin, the founder of H.O. Marin and Company many years ago. Besides being a sea captain, he was also an A1 carpenter, a minister of religion, a good diagnostician, and well advanced in drugs. You had to be jack of all trades those days in the Cayman Islands. Quite a smart and reliable personality and a good man to know. They have their own house in Tampa, Florida for quite a number of years. They have been coming and staying in the Cayman for a number of years, contributing their service to the welfare, to the businesses of to the business of H.O. Marin and Company, of which Mrs. Hunter owns a share. Captain Hunter was a live wire in buying ships for the company and acting as an agent in Tampa when they needed material and dry docking, and as an agent for the company as well in their business operations. So here Mr. Willowwood is talking about Captain Darrell Hunter and being married to Coriel Marin, who is the oldest daughter of H.O. Marin. What else do we have on here? Around town. This was, remember I told you about the fact that around town those days, the reporter would normally be at the airport and record every person who arrived on an aircraft. This one talks about Mr. Someone by Leon. The rest of it is blurred out, so I can't see it. Accompanied Ethel to Kingston, Jamaica. Mrs. Ethel Cook Borden is happy to announce the marriage of her son Eden to Barbara Tibble of West Berlin. March 25th, Miami, Florida. Mrs. Margaret Whitman has gone to Canada to spend her Easter holidays with her husband, Bill, and her other relatives. Mr. John Conley, Jack Borden, his wife Jane, and Dick Douglas have gone to Kingston, Jamaica on the Vieira to put the yacht on dry dock David Foster, who is acting as Woodrow Foster's agent, left on Sunday, April 3rd by BWIA for Kingston, Jamaica to see the dry docking of the Vieira. Mr. and Mrs. Ashton Diosca and children have gone to New York City to their home. The Ephalots, that's some singing group from Williams College in Berkshire, Massachusetts, have returned to their homes in America after a very enjoyable holiday in Grand Cayman. Their performance were greatly enjoyed by all who had the pleasure of hearing and listening to them sing their various numbers. They all express regret of having to leave the island and so soon, and will return as soon as they possibly can. Like I said, everyone who came to the Cayman Islands wanted to stay and enjoyed it. Time for another commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, formerly known as Professional Pharmacy, would like to thank the Cayman communities for their loyal support these past 18 years. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care. Thorough background checks and follow-up consultations is only the beginning. Your safety is our concern. Our staff are respected healthcare professionals whose job requires careful and precise calculations. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, where we prepare to provide exceptional care. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we care about your health.
Vigoro on Agricola Drive is having their annual tree sale now through April 14th. Get 20% off fruit and foliage trees and 50% off other selected trees. Cash and carry only. Vigoro is supporting Earth Month with this great sale. Everyone should plant a tree. It benefits the earth and us. Now more than ever, the earth needs our help. Buy a tree at Vigoro's tree sale from now till April 14th, only on Agricola Drive. Open from 11 to 5 on Sunday, April 14th.
Hi, I'm Dawn McLean Brady, President of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we depend on government to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning, and welcome back to For the Record. Pronounced something wrong there and have been corrected, and I'm extremely grateful and thankful for the caller who said that it's not E-flat, F-flats, it's E-flats, the singing group E-flats, E-P-H-A-L-T-S, E-flats, E-flats. So the P is silent. The P is silent there as well. What else? In 1966, 7th of April, 1966, town planner expected. That's interesting because we have a new town planner now, and let's see whether or not we listen to this town planner. If we got an opportunity, it is expected that a town planning expert who was here last year advising the government will be returning to the island late this month or early in May with a master plan for development of the islands and recommendations for the improvement of planning and zoning regulations in the island. In the meantime, the Regional Planning Board meets today to consider outstanding applications for permission to carry out development works. So, town planner, I'll put the question out there. Was it successful? Maybe in those days, but we need new town planning now because the Cayman Islands, while the island has remained the same size, it has still gotten larger. West Bay news, anything of interest in the on the 28th of March at the West Bay Town Hall in spring evening entertainment was held. A spring evening entertainment was held by the Pilgrim Holiness Church, United Church, and Church of God Chapel on behalf of the West Bay Civic and Cultural Society, when members of the three churches unitedly presented a nicely arranged pre-Easter concert. So those days you had the Pilgrim Holiness Church, the United Church, and the Church of God combining for an Easter program. Well, Easter's right around the corner. Will that happen again here in the Cayman Islands? Would be good to know. Going to Miss Susan's neck of the woods, Cayman Brack reporter. Let's see what we have here. Mr. and Mrs. Wellington Watson. Do you know them, Miss Susan? Mr. and Mrs. Wellington Watson are the happy parents of a baby girl born on Friday, March 25th at Nurse Petrona's home at Creek, Cayman Brack. Yes, Miss Susan. Mr. and Mrs. Wellington Watson are the happy parents of a baby girl born on Friday, the 25th of March. Who was born on the 25th of March? You know anyone who was born then, Miss Susan? That is Miss Susan's birthday being announced in the Trade Winds newspaper the 7th of April, 1966. Says then another part of the article, many people in Cayman Brack were happy Sunday, March 27th to see a DC-3 on the run to Cayman Brack. Unfortunately, however, this plane, which is chartered by Little Cayman Enterprises, was just hired by Cayman Brack Airways Limited because the regular twin Beechcraft was grounded due to maintenance. Mr. Burke Ryan arrived home from Tampa. He's visiting family and friends. Mistress Curleen Bryan and infant Shirley returned on the DC-3 on Sunday. So lots of things there. But I just accidentally came upon that one, you know, Susan's birthday as well. You have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thankful. O.C., you know, when I heard you just saying that back then there were three churches that came together for
Easter service. Yeah, concert.
Right. Now we're seeing it was three churches then.
Mm-hmm.
There are 300 now.
Yep.
And you know the thing that alarms me most of all? There is no accountability. There is no accountability. Now we all know, and it's no secret. The Adventists, I got a lot of respect for the Adventist Church. They do a lot with health. They do a lot of research with health, and they encourage good healthy eating. Church of God Universal, the church I grew up in, is the love of my heart. And then you got Presbyterian and stuff. They're all genuine churches. They're all genuine churches, O.C. But when we see all everyone that get off of a plane going and opening a church, it is alarming. And nobody, as long as he come here and he call himself pastor or brother, come on, your brother, let's go, let's open the church here. Well, all this happening, this is a racket. It is a racket, O.C.
Mm-hmm.
Half of them that come here, I'll never forget, you know, when I was in the service, I'll never forget. We went down in an area one day looking for a prisoner who had escaped. And underneath this canopy in the churchyard was a Lexus, an SUV Lexus. At the time, that Lexus would have cost about $55,000-$60,000. So I asked one of the ladies, I said, well, who this vehicle here for? Said, pastor vehicle. I said, pastor vehicle? I said, pastor stealing the money? I said, no way that pastor can in making this kind of money to support this kind of vehicle. There's no way. And see, there is nothing in place here in Cayman to deal with these people who come in to our shores. I mean, honest to my God, every shopping center that there is, every shopping plaza there is in Cayman has got a church into it. You know? And because you go with a hat on Sunday and jump down, you're Christian and you're doing all this and doing all that. I want to see your books. I want to see what happened this money. Right? Because they tell me they got them, that is good. They're telling the congregation, listen, I don't want to see no dollar bills in the collection today, you know. Or see, the government got to get a hand on these people. They got to get a hand on them because it's a free enterprise for them to go there and racketeer and take people's money and go call back to their country where they come from with their nonsense about their Christians. They're no more Christian than I am.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. I'm going to try to grab one more call before we go to the 9 o'clock headline news, and I believe we have our guest in the studio as well. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello?
Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, and yourself? Thanks.
I'm good, man. I want to talk about something I saw in the paper, today's paper. And when I read it, I said, no, something wrong here.
Okay, we don't have a whole lot of time, so tell me what it is, please.
Yes, but that prison officer connected with alleged rep still on duty. And when I read that and this thing about the guy that wasn't taken off duty because
training someone,
training or something
staff.
Like that.
Yeah.
Well, I nearly fell down when I read that. I mean, but what's wrong with this island? You see, but it makes me believe that the person who's in charge of the prison must have been connected or some friend of his or something, and he tried to save him a couple of, I don't know what. But these things happen, and if there had been a Caymanian, he would have went from day one. This is what's happening to us. You understand what I'm saying, Bossy?
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, we let people come here and they do what they want, and we sit down and we take it, and I had to say the other day when I saw up there in France where there was some strike it was something went on about some pay strike or something like that. The whole country went out, you know. From every part of France, people were marching against it. Yeah,
The yellow jackets, yeah.
Yeah.
Our yellow vests.
Yeah, man, we sit down and talk among ourselves. Yesterday, I could just say this and I can leave here. Day before yesterday, Saturday, I was in the grocery store at the Strand there by Fawcett. And 3 people came up to me, this is true later, and said, oh my God, you know what, I just realized that, but I saw 7 people from Cayman in here, for 7 Caymanians. And I always say that when I see more than 3 or 4 Caymanians in one spot now, we should celebrate. We should have a party, because that's what it's getting like. You hardly see Caymanians anymore. We have. What are we doing? Oh, and by the way, let me just tell you this, because I know 90% of the people in the island know it. That word radio, when you hear talk about radio, people just use the word radio as the thing, you know. But it's an acronym, okay?
Okay.
And check it out, because most people don't know that radio is an acronym.
Okay. Will do.
All right?
Will do.
All right, man.
Thank you very much. One of our listeners has sent me a copy of a share certificate for Cayman Island Airways Limited. And the person says that this is a share certificate for 5 shares, which was purchased in 19 1949 by the late Lemuel Macfield. I have the original, which was entrusted to me. £25 was required, and the late Lemuel Macfield, or £5 was required, and the late Lemuel Macfield bought 5 shares. That was so that would have been £25. This was in 1949. I want to thank that listener for that as well. And we've reached headline news, and when we return, we will have guests in the studio, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after headline news.
Radio K-Man on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio K-Man.
Radio K-Man.
Radio K-Man's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Department of Environmental Health removes 93 derelict cars from communities across Grand Cayman in March in this month as part of its ongoing efforts to address some of the long-standing nuisances on the islands. Residents are being discouraged from disposing derelict vehicles in public spaces, instead being urged to use the Georgetown landfill, where you can drop it off free of cost. At least 2,800 people have fled from the fighting near Libya's capital, Tripoli, according to the United Nations. Other civilians are trapped by the clashes and are cut off from vital emergency services. Forces under General Gaddafi Haftar began an attack on the city last Thursday with the aim of wresting it from Libya's UN-backed government. The Prime Minister has accused Gen Haftar of attempting a coup and says rebels must be met with force. And elements of Sudan's military have attacked a peaceful protest in Khartoum after security forces fired tear gas to break up a mass sit-in. Soldiers tried to chase away pickup trucks firing tear gas on the second night of a sit-in protest calling for the president to resign. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music, and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have guests in the studio now, and we will be talking about early childhood education in the Cayman Islands. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me, and no stranger to For the Record. No stranger to For the Record.
That's not good.
Miss Renee Barnes, who is the early childhood officer. And I believe for the first time,
my first
Miss
time here.
Carol Bennett, who is the senior policy advisor and manager for the early childhood unit. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Welcome to For the Record.
It's a pleasure.
And let's start with Miss Barnes.
Yes. All right. Well, we're here to talk about the ECAP, the Early Childhood Assistance Program funding, which is offered to Caymanian children of a Caymanian parent who are 3 as of September 1st of this school year. Funding's provided for them to attend early childhood centers. So the parents identify a center, and then they can apply for the funding.
Okay, now, can we say in terms of the criteria that has to be met by that parent who's applying for funding? Can we talk about criteria?
So there's a particular form that's completed, and we ask for accompanying documents, inclusive of which would be salary slip or paycheck. Job letter, which should identify whatever mandatory deductions that are made. And the Oversight Committee looks at the total income of the family, and there's a means testing process done. So Ms. Carroll can tell us more about the amounts and how it would attribute to the number of dependents.
Sure, Ms. Carroll.
Okay, so this year we're excited because we got to, we raised the means testing criteria. So we're hoping that more families can qualify. So we've raised it. So persons making less than $2,625 with at least one dependent who's 3 years old will qualify for the maximum amount of funding, which is $450 a month. And then the next section is persons making $2,626 to $3,413 per month is another category. So a person with one dependent in that situation would get the basic contribution, which is $275, and then as they go up in number of dependents, they will get the $450. And then we've raised the next one as well to $3,414 to $4,200, and that's another staggered category. If you have one dependent, you will not meet the means testing criteria in that category, and then as you go up 2 or more dependents, you'll get another contribution. And then the highest category this year is $4,201 to $4,998. So anything above two or above dependents will get a contribution as well. So I know there's a number of parents who had looked at this form in previous years, or maybe had applied for younger children and had gotten denied because of the means testing. So we just want to get that out this year, that if you're in that situation, must have another look at it again this year, because this is the first year since 2013, I think, that the means testing has increased. So we would really encourage everyone that has children that are turning, Caymanian children that are turning 3 years old by this September 1st, to have a fresh look at this form, because they may qualify this time around.
Okay, and I noticed that you used the qualifying word there, Caymanian, or
Yes,
phrase,
sir.
Caymanian children.
Yes,
so
sir.
if a person is here on a work permit and they have a child who falls into that category, they would
don't
not
qualify.
qualify.
This is for Caymanian children of 3 years old by September 1st. And we would really like people who are even on the borderline to not guess as to whether they should put in an application. We would rather people put the application in and let us process it and have the oversight committee have a look at it, because there are extenuating circumstances which are also listed on the form, such as serious illness of a family member that limits income or takes extra expenditure, special needs of children, multiple children born in the family, since there might be twins or triplets that they have to care for all at the same time. So, and we also do the same. We calculate people's salary all the same, so we know how we do it. We take out the insurance and the pension, since we cannot spend that, right?
Yes.
So someone might be including that and thinking, oh, I'm off the chart, I can't do this. So we would really encourage people to not guess, to have a really good look at the form and submit their applications, and then we will do the calculations, and the oversight committee has the final say.
And if there are any questions, who can they contact?
They can call me at 244-5735.
And that's Miss Renee
That's
Barnes.
Renee Barnes, yes.
Can you repeat that number again for them?
244-5735.
Okay.
We also have an email, which is ECAP, ECAP, at gov.ky. And Miss Renee, myself, Carol Bennett, and our colleague, Miss Barbara Bodden, have access to that email, and it's only the three of us, so the any correspondence is confidential. Well, any correspondence with this is confidential anyhow, but and we want to highlight that as well. But we would really encourage people to ask questions, to come and talk with us. We're available at the government building usually every day. One of the two of us or Barbara is, and we will come down and talk to parents and answer any questions they need that they may have.
Now, Ms. Bennett, you earlier spoke about the fact that many people felt that they didn't qualify. So does that mean that there was less of an uptake for this program simply because people were apprehensive and people may have misinterpreted everything?
No, some people did apply and were denied due to the means testing.
Okay.
But we did have quite an uptake this year, especially. In the past years, it was kind of declining, and we were looking at birth rates and things like that to see if there were actually less Caymanian children, which the census that's going to happen soon will give us a real picture of what's going on. But the word just wasn't getting out, and we were having parents come in later in the year and saying, oh, I wish I had known about it, I didn't know. So we're trying to get the word out more by going on more radio shows, advertising in different places, those kind of things. So we're encouraging people to tell their friends. If there's grandparents or aunts and uncles on here, neighbors, remember to tell the parents of the children who are of this age who are Caymanian that to really have a look at this. So but last year we had a considerable amount of applications, and last year as well there was no deadline. So last year the minister Juliana O'Connor Conley said that she didn't want a deadline. She wanted to help as many children as she could. So that's still open as well, and she allowed us as well to request extra funding, and she granted that as well, or the cabinet did. So we had extra funding last year as well. So that was really exciting, and we were really appreciative for that. So we did have a big uptake last year.
Now, Ms. Barnes, you're an educator. Tell our listening and viewing audience the importance of early childhood education and how that, how that sets the foundation for the child moving forward.
I think quite often people think about preschool as going to school before school, but it's important to note that the early years are the formative years. So it's all about the time when the child understands their world, understands who they are, how they can respond to their world, and how their world responds to them. So that kind of an emergent and interactive kind of purposeful play and purposeful learning is what's really of great importance. When children attend early childhood centres, these kinds of experiences should be provided that help them to be stimulated cognitively, as well as developing their muscular movement, all the various facets that they need to have strengthened and developed prior to actually starting school.
Okay. And for those who are interested in the monitoring of these early childhood centers to ensure that they're in compliance with the Department of Education's requirements and everything. Can we talk a little bit about that as well? Sure. I know I'm going off script a little bit,
but fine. We have quite an order. You have it. And we will talk about early childhood all day. Yes. So we have the Education Council guidelines, which gives a criteria for centers that are registering brand new, and also gives re-registration criteria for existing centers. At this time, we're doing it annually, but the new education law says it will be every 3 years. So we have not gone to that duration yet, but there's a whole list of inspections that take place. The fire department, the DEH, Department of Environmental Health, Public Health, and DCFS was also doing inspections, which we've taken that over now with their guidance, and we still collaborate with them. We also check lesson plans. We also do very frequent drop-in support visits. The early childhood unit also does training and individual training for individual staff members or individual early childhood centers, and then we do mass training as well, which people will come to. We've done with Miss Camilla Fijera. We've also done child protection training with them. We trained about 250 of them last May, I think. So they have to meet criteria to be registered with the Education Council. And if they're not in good standing with the Education Council, there will be a certificate placed at the Early Childhood Center. So we look at things such as ratio to make sure that there's the right number of adults to children. We look at space as well, because planning has a space ratio, so that the children and the staff can all get out, have safe egress in the event of an emergency, and also to make sure that the children, from our perspective, have place to move around and explore and discover and interact. So and now the Office of Education Standards, now that they are formed again, and they have been inspecting early childhood centers as well. So their reports are on the website, just like the compulsory school reports are. So that's another thing that parents could look for.
Okay. Talking about the physical aspect of it, I've actually crossed a few, probably 2 in the Savannah area, and I see where the entrance and the exits have now been designated. At one time, there was, you go in one way and you came out the same way. So obviously, even the physical aspects like you've spoken about before are being attended to as well.
Those have to go through planning, and when an application goes to planning for an early childhood centre, planning then disperses it to the relevant agencies such as NRA, which would have probably had their hands in the exit and entrance and such like that. And then each of the different agencies then has 2 weeks, I think it is, to submit our feedback to planning in the event that there's any suggestions, any concerns, or anything positive as well, to recommend whether planning passes the application or not. So it is a very multi-agency, multidisciplinary look at early childhood centres from the very beginning to the everyday interaction, actually. And there's still a lot of work to do. That's why we're still here. But early childhood centres are continuing to grow, continuing to learn, and continuing to work with the various agencies. So from the inspection reports, we're pleased that mostly, if not all, centres that were inspected have the health and safety have been really good. So we are pleased with that when parents drop their children off, that the health and safety, the hygiene of the centres, the actual evacuation routes in case of emergency, the child protection policies and everything have been really tight. So now we are continuing to work on the quality of the interactions, the experiences, the exploration of the children, the problem-solving skills. So we're continuing to work on that.
Excellent. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation with Miss Renee Barnes and Miss Carol Bennett will continue. So please stay tuned. Don't change that dial.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Why my wife always asking if I'm in a rush when she's the one always making us late?
Might as well say, yeah, I'm in a rush and go buy the new Toyota Rush you've been talking about. Cause they on sale this month. Dial teacher.
The super special spring SUV sale at Vant Motors. Save up to $4,400 with SUVs starting at only $23,500, like the 7-seater Toyota Rush. Save money, get cash back, or use the discount to upgrade features on the SUV of your choice, including the Toyota RAV4, the Fortuner, the Rush, or the Ford EcoSport. It's our super special spring SUV sale. Only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Ms. Renee Barnes, who is the Early Childhood Officer in the Ministry of Education. Also with us, Ms. Carol Bennett, who is the Senior Policy Advisor and the Manager of the Early Childhood Unit in the Ministry of Education as well. We're talking about the Early Childhood Assistance Program. I want to remind you, if you have any questions, any comments in relation to this, you can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow, so the phone lines are open for you to call in that regard, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord. That is one word, for the record, at candw.ky, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261. So we're coming back to our guest in the studio. One of the questions is, well, first of all, I'm going to ask you to kindly repeat the criteria, as well as the age group for children who are allowed to enter this program. And somewhere along the way, I want you to talk about and mention, why not just give or allow the government to fund for every child of that age, and whether or not that is feasible, sustainable as well.
Okay. Well, let me first say that it may seem like a long time ahead of the ball game, because the ball game really starts September 1st when payments start. So some parents might say, I'll just put it off, or I don't need to apply for this right now. But we are encouraging people to apply as soon as they can. The first oversight committee meets May 31st. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they'll hear, if they get their applications in by the week before May 31st, they'll hear by the week after May 31st, and therefore they can have more time to make plans. So if they were approved, they can have more times to perhaps fix their budget and see whether, if they need to meet a small gap in the fees, how they can do that come September. If they weren't approved, then they can go to Plan B. The Minister the Minister of Education has expressed that she will have another rolling application period, so we will have no deadline this year again. So no matter what time during the year that applications come in for children who have turned 3 by September 1st, that we will honor them. And she is very interested in helping as many children and families as she can, as possible. So, but the May 31st is not a deadline, but for those parents who want to know as soon as they can, that's when we would encourage them to get their applications in. The next oversight committee doesn't meet till August 16th, so they will hear the week after August 16th, which is much closer to September 1st, right? Less time to make plans if they for finding out what they'll do come September 1st. So children must be 3 years old by September 1st, and that age is important because we pay for ECAP 3 years old by September 1st, and then they can start reception if they're 4 years old by September 1st. So people ask, why not September 2nd or October 1st? But it all goes in line. So ECAP is 3 by September 1st, reception is 4 by September 1st, and then year 1 is 5 by September 1st. So that's why it's consistent all the way up.
Okay, got you.
So according to the means testing, if your child is 3 and is Caymanian, any person making less than $2,625 will qualify for supplementary funding, which is $450 a month. Anyone making between $2,626 and $3,413 will have another contribution, either basic, which is $275 a month for one dependent, or $450 a month for any more than one dependent. Anyone making $3,414 to $4,200, if they have 2 or more dependents, will receive a contribution. And then the top amount is $4,201 to $4,998. Anyone above 2 or above dependents will receive contributions as well. So 2 and 3 dependents, they will receive the $275 a month, and 4 or more dependents, they will receive supplementary funding.
Okay, Ms. Barnes,
And
why not funding for all?
Important to say, sir, that amount is after the pension and health mandatory deductions are taken out.
Yes.
Parents sometimes tend to look at that full amount and figure, oh no, I'm over. But it's best to go ahead and still apply.
And it's also important, I would imagine, for them to be quite accurate and truthful in terms of what their obligations are. Right. Because in instances where they think it may hinder them, it actually may help them.
Exactly. And the oversight committee meets, and that is a panel of civic-minded persons, and they pretty much know the community. So some people will know, hold on a second, I know they have another dependent that they take care of, that they have an older child who may be in college who is a dependent, and they may not have listed them. So that oversight committee picks up on stuff like that all the time. And then when we call, oh yeah, I didn't know I could list them as a dependent. So then it sometimes pushes them between qualifying and not qualifying, or between basic and supplementary funding. Regarding why not just give it to everyone, the basis of this funding was to replace reception when it was taken out years and years and years and years ago.
Remind our listeners and viewers about that reception, what that was all about.
So reception program was the year before primary school. So children used to start primary school at 4 years, 9 months, and they started reception if parents wanted them to at 3 years, 9 months. At a certain point, reception was only held in Northside Primary, East End Primary, and the BRAC. And the rest of the reception programs were stopped. They had ended. So this funding came in way back when, that must have been the 1980s, to replace that program. So children 3 years, 9 months to year 1 age were eligible for this funding. So this funding has continued since then. Reception is now in for children 4 years old, so it's down now to 3-year-old children for this funding. There is conversation at the ministry, because one of the markers for advancement in early childhood is universal early childhood care, and a lot of countries in the Caribbean have gone towards that for 3-year-olds and up until they go to compulsory school age. So that is a conversation in the ministry. We're solidifying a lot of things, such as how many Caymanian children are there, how much would it cost, what's the cost of living, and not the cost of living, the income levels and such like that. How much could we give? Would it be a voucher system? Would parents just automatically qualify? So that conversation definitely has started. And like I said, I think the census that's coming out is going to give us a lot more information that we need to make better informed decisions. So universal early childhood care is it something that government does ourselves, or pay early childhood providers, private early childhood providers to do it? Then that way we have to look at the impact on businesses as well. So there's a lot of conversation to be had around that, and those conversations are definitely starting, and our minds are working and getting as much information as we can. So we will, as the minister says, watch this space. So maybe we will have something more to offer on that question later on in later years.
Okay. So people need to understand that you're there, and the oversight committee that reviews these applications, you're actually trying to help people rather than, there's some people who believe that when you make an application to government, that the people who are looking at the application is their job to find a way to reject it. But you're actually looking looking for
sometimes we actually, this one especially,
we go far beyond,
acts like we really feel like we're I don't know, private eyes or something. We would say, no, I know I saw so-and-so with another child, or so-and-so. I thought I heard someone say she was pregnant. She might be having another child before this comes up. And if that child's born happy and healthy, they can put that as a dependent as well. And we call people up and say, okay, I see that your salary is inconsistent. Can you give us another pay slip? Because when we average it out, we don't count bonuses. We don't count gratuities. We don't count overtime, because that's inconsistent.
understand persons that make more in gratuity than they do on their
You guys do a better job than the banks do.
Well, this funding is there to help families, and we want to make sure that while the people who will try to give us false information and hide information. I mean, the investigation is also there for that. You know, someone might give us a pay slip for their job, but don't admit that they also have 16 apartments that they're renting, right? Full income from that as well. So the Oversight Committee is there to pick up on things like that as well, but that is a minority. We generally get applicants who genuinely need the help, want the help, they have the best interest for their children in mind, and that's mostly the people who apply. It's the rare occasion that we have people that when we look into it that they're presenting false information. It's very sad when they do that, but it's the rare occasion. But this funding is there to help people, and that's what we want.
Excellent. We're going to take another commercial break. When we return, I want to talk about a little bit about the providers that we have on island, how many. We'll talk a little bit about, I think there's an early childhood association as well, and how do you go about interacting with them also. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore,
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Every Saturday morning at 9.
Bob, you got to come round this plane. See my box down there with my parrot and rabbits.
Right here on Radio Cayman.
In Cayman, we are surrounded by water and make our living by farming the sea.
Come join us as we proudly present Caymanian Stories.
The whole problem started when Kanka promised Mrs. June that she would babysit her daughter, Lil Kelly, one Saturday afternoon.
Caymanian Stories is proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank, serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all your financial needs.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're discussing early childhood assistance program in the Cayman Islands known as the ECAP funding. Yes. That conversation has taken place with the early childhood officer in the ministry, Ms. Renee Barnes, also with the senior policy advisor and the management of the early childhood unit, Ms. Carol Bennett. Before we went to the commercial break, I asked you to talk a little bit about those centers that do offer this service. But I think before we go there, there's a week of celebration, and we're going to ask Ms. Renee Barnes to tell us about that as well.
Special week, Mr. O.C. The NAEYC, National Association for the Education of Young Children in the States, they do observe a particular week every year when we just focus on the young child, advocating for the needs and for the well-being of young children. And Mrs. Marjorie Beckles of blessed memory, precious heart, she started this observance here in Cayman many moons ago, back in the 80s, and we've continued to observe this. So 1 week in the month of April every year, we just celebrate our young children. And wonderfully enough, we had a launching service yesterday afternoon at the the Prophecy Church, and it was Victory Tabernacle Church, and it was just an amazing time with the children, just showing their talents, and yes, having so many parents and family attend. So throughout the course of this week, we have various activities, and if I can take a minute just to speak to that. This evening we have a pajama party on at 6 o'clock at the Gardenia Court, Cayman Bay, here in Grand Cayman. But also in the BRAC, we have a family circle night on at Aston Ruddy Centre, 6 to 8 this evening. Okay. And tomorrow evening we have a governor's reception at the Government House. That's by invitation only, for particular early childhood personnel. And on Wednesday, it's a reading day, celebrities and teens reading to tots throughout all the centres. On Thursday, we have our family circle here in Cayman at the various centres. The centres are organising that for the families to come in. Families should have done a particular project along with their young child. They bring in that item, the object that they've created, and they talk about it. And then they share a family meal together on Thursday evening. And on Thursday on the BRAC, I believe, is a pajama party at the daycare on the BRAC. Friday is a fun day. It's an open day. It's a have a good time kind of a day for all centres, and encouraging parents and public to drop in. And if parents are interested in this ECAP program and needing to identify a centre prior to, then that would be a good day to pop in, see what the centre has to offer, spend time, possibly take the young child with them, and just see how the child interacts within the various environments. On Thursday morning also is Move Up Day. It's a big school visit day for the 4-year-olds who are going into year 1 or for the 3-year-olds who are going into reception. And then on Saturday, it's a march. It's a march for the young child and their family, starting at the Bayshore Mall and marching, singing songs and just celebrating those little young people. Marching to the steps of the government building on Saturday morning, starting at 7:15, I believe. And then the week closes on Sunday with a church service on the BRAC. And it's just amazing that we started in Cayman and we're closing the week in the BRAC at Pastor French's church, the Cotton Tree Church of God, at 11 on Sunday morning. So it's a week full of activities celebrating our little people and celebrating those who work with and nurture those little people.
One of our listeners wanted us to repeat the contact numbers, contact details. If you
so anybody needing information can call me, Renee Barnes. My number is 244-5735, or you can email me at ecap@gov.ky.
We'd also like to say that the forms are available on the Ministry of Education's website. That's education.gov.ky, and you click on the right sidebar for early childhood, and it'll come up on that page. We also have them at the front desk of the Government Administration Building, and early childhood centres also have them, and primary schools as well. NAU has them as well,
Department
as
of Education.
NWDA and Department of Education Services has the printed forms.
I'll be happy to email them out to parents also if they'd like me to do that.
Excellent. Let's talk about the centres. Where, how many, where as well?
Okay, so all early childhood centres which are registered and in good standing with the Education Council, are eligible to receive this funding on behalf of the qualified applicants. So I think there are 27 of them. It also includes if your child is of age to go, like, St. Ignatius has a 3-year-old program, so does CIS. So if you qualify financially, and that's where you would like your child to go, and they're the right age, and they're Caymanian, we can also send to them, even though they're a school, not an early childhood center. The last year, we also had a situation where a little girl qualified for the funding, but the best placement for her was one of the smaller programs that cater to children with special needs, and the minister actually signed on that as well, to be able to pay to educational institutions that are not necessarily early childhood centres, but if they best meet the needs of the child. That we would pay to them, which is paramount. So, but the educational institution would need to be registered with Education Council, because we need to ensure the health and safety, the quality of the program, right? So that was signed off last year, I do believe. So if you have a child with special needs who maybe attend a preschool playgroup in a smaller setting that's not specifically an early childhood center, but they are registered with Education Council, you can also look into this funding and talk with us, or come and apply for the funding. And the minister did grant that it could go to other educational institutions as well.
Okay, excellent. One of our listeners has written in and said, good morning, child abuse system needs fixing. Now, from an early childhood perspective, and you spoke about earlier about your inspections. Sometimes they're not announced. You just drop in and check. What does your unit do to at least to monitor and to ensure that?
So I'm not exactly sure which child abuse system. It might be through DCFS and the MASH unit, which we are mandated reporters for that system by the children's law. So we, as early childhood officers, as people who work with young children and go into the centers and interact with adults and parents, we are mandated reporters ourselves. We have made a number of reports, either people calling us and saying, this is what I witnessed at the early childhood center. I don't know how to make a report, or I'm afraid to make a report for whatever reason. We explain to them what the law says and that they are protected and everything. But if they're still not comfortable, then we make a third person report. We also will report on things that we have seen in centers that we're not comfortable with. We've also, when the whole reporting process started, we've assisted early childhood center owners to make their own reports. But now they're a lot more comfortable with that. There's a lot more information. There's new forms. They've seen the people in the presentations, because people from MASH unit, Mr. Kevin Ashworth and such, come to the training that we have. Some people from DCFS, some of the social workers come out. So they've seen who they're working with. They understand the process now. So that's becoming a lot easier for them to make those reports. And they're understanding that it is the law, and they have basically no choice. So I don't know what the person was referring to, but from our perspective, as far as whether child protection needs fixing, we don't doubt that, we don't have eyes everywhere all the time. So we would encourage people like the person who messaged you, or anyone else, if they see something, they must say something. If they see something in an early childhood center or in a school that they're concerned about, if it's an early childhood center, they can call us, they can come see us, we can make the report for them, we can show them how to do it themselves if they're comfortable doing that, whatever, because the more that see something and say something, the better that will help the children. So I do agree that we need a lot of work on child protection. We've already done a lot. The MASH unit has done a lot. DCFS, the RCIPS, the at-risk person, Ms. Camilla in the Ministry of Education, has done a lot as far as training and support. We still have a lot more to go, because even one report is too much. One suspicion is too much. So I do agree with that. So until there are none, then we will have to continue to improve. We also not only have to improve noticing the abuse, we have to improve character education and all those kind of things, so that when we become adults, when our children become adults, when they become older and they're in authority and power, that they don't have the feeling or the need or the urge. They know how to control themselves. They know how to regulate themselves, and they don't act in anger or in, they're not tempted to do those things against against powerless children, actually. So that side of it needs to be worked on as well.
That aspect of character ed is so important in the formative years, because it's helping the child to understand who they are in relation to others around them, and how their behavior affects other children. And we want them to grow with that mindset and to be more responsible about who they are and what they do, what they say, how they respond, and just to give guidance in that regard. Okay,
let's talk a little bit about your association with the Early Childhood Association as well.
I think Ms. Renee would be perfect to talk about that. She is one of the founding members, and she has done, and she will not say it, but she has done an immense amount of work in the background for this week's Week of the Young Child, and she was acknowledged yesterday as well in the ceremony. Great. They have a great set of people that we work with.
Yes, the association's going very strong. It's over 20 years old. It's 22 years old, I believe.
Okay.
Miss Pearlyn Henry Burrell is the president. Nicola Williams, the vice president. Miss Andino is the secretary. Sue Hides is the treasurer. Oh, no, pardon me. Shauna Haylock is the treasurer, and Sue Hides is a PRO. So it's a good executive advocates of no mean order. Going strong, they meet on the second Saturday of every month at 9 in the morning at St. Ignatius School. We have a room there where we meet, and it's all about the well-being of the young child. Workshops are run during the meeting times. There are various persons within the community that they're able to tap into their wealth of experience to come in and share and do training for the practitioners and the early childhood teachers.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to take another commercial break. We still have about 15 minutes left, and if we may sound repetitive at some points, we're going to again repeat numbers for you. We're going to lay out the criteria, because no one wants their child to miss out on this opportunity where you're being supported by the government of the Cayman Islands in terms of funding. And what do we always say about our children? They are our future. So we have to make sure that we look out for our future. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide on Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your type 1 and 2 plastics in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Please keep the Cayman Islands clean. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
This Easter weekend, the Cayman Islands will welcome the rest of the Caribbean, and you do not want to miss it. Carifta 2019 takes place at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex from April 20th to 22nd. Watch the region's most talented track and field athletes compete and come cheer on your Cayman athletes. Get ready to raise your flags at the Caribbean's biggest athletic event this Easter weekend. It's Carifta 2019. Tickets start as low as $10. On sale now at CaymanCarifta2019.ky. See you at the games.
Carifta 2019. It's all about unity.
Get your tickets now at CaymanCarifta2019.ky. Brought to you by the Cayman Islands Government, CUC, Salt Technology Group, the Cayman Islands Athletic Association, DART, Miracle Broker, Maples Group, Pinnacle Media, World Gym, and Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. The topic this morning is our Early Childhood Assistance Program, ECAP funding. We're talking with Miss Renee Barnes, who's an early childhood officer. Also with us, Miss Carol Bennett, who's the Senior Policy Advisor and also the management of the Early Childhood Unit. We're going to repeat one more time for those of you who may not have gotten it, contact details in relation to it. We won't go through all of the categories in terms of the financial requirements and everything, but we'll say it's all outlined in the form. And what we say is, make your application even if you think that you don't qualify, and let the people who will look at it, let them make that determination as well. So I'm going to throw the mic back over to you, both of you, for the next 12 minutes so that you can cover everything that you need to, that you want to cover, that you want our listening and viewing audience to know about as well.
Thank you, Mr. O.C. It's such a pleasure to be here. Our ECAP fund is open for the upcoming school year, in September 2019 through June 2020. The application forms are available on our Education Ministry's website, as well as their hard copies at the government building, at all the early childhood centres across the island, at the Department of Education, at the NAU, NWDA. Please do complete the application and submit it ASAP. We do have funding Oh, I'm sorry. If you need to make a contact, you can call me, Renee Barnes, at 244-5735, or you can email ecap, E-C-A-P, at gov.ky.
And there are several persons who have access to that email, so it's not just...
Three of us, yes. And it's a rolling period. We don't have a deadline, so just get your form in as soon as possible. Those that have been submitted by the end of May will be seen by the Oversight Committee on May the 31st, and those seen that are submitted after May through to August will be seen by the Oversight Committee on August the 16th.
Mm-hmm. And what would happen, let's say, for instance, if there was an emergency situation where someone needed to be considered
if there's an emergency situation before that
or in between the periods, or before the next
okay,
review.
So if I thought you were going to ask after August 16th.
But you can speak to that too.
Okay, so if they submit after August 16th, Ms. Renee picks a very dedicated oversight committee every year. And like I said, it's civic-minded persons.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They sign confidentiality agreements, and they also indicate whether they'll be available on an ongoing basis during the year. So if we have a bulk of forms come in after August 16th, we'll call another oversight committee, and we'll get more together to look at the bulk. If we have them coming in 2 by 2, 1 by 1, Ms. Renee contacts individual oversight committee members, and we take it to them, or they come and pick it up, and they review it at that point. So just because August 16th is the last scheduled oversight committee meeting doesn't mean that persons cannot submit after that date. And as I indicated earlier, the minister is encouraging people to apply, that there's no deadline, and she would like to assist as many families as she can. So we're encouraging people to get those forms in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we haven't mentioned the actual things that people would need to submit with their form.
Okay.
So we have a form, and all the figures that we've been calling out before is on the form. Everything is transparent. There's no guessing. Those things that we've been reading out as far as financial means testing criteria is on page 11 of the form, and people can have a look at that. All the information is there. So once they complete the form, they also have to attach their child's birth certificate, and that shows the actual birth date. They also have to show that the child is Caymanian. So whether that is the child's birth certificate showing that one of the parents is Caymanian, as well as that Caymanian's parents' details, their birth certificate or Caymanian status, or they can get the acknowledgement letter from Immigration Department, from Immigration Department as well. That's fine. So they have to show their child's Caymanian. They have to attach proof of income. So like Ms. Renee mentioned before, that's pay slips and job letters.
Okay.
If the parent
and if they say we're self-employed.
If they're self-employed, that's another batch of information they have to submit. They have to give their trade and business license. If they are an artisan, they wouldn't need the trade and business. A fisherman or an artist, they wouldn't need the trade and business. But we ask for an affidavit to say that they are self-employed, that's signed by a JP. So the JP doesn't have to verify the person's self-employed, but generally when you sign in front of a JP or a notary, you're hopefully telling the truth. So if they're unemployed, the parent has to be registered with NWDA as a job seeker. And that job seeker extended, and that has to be submitted with the application. If the child has special needs, they would have to give reports regarding that, especially if they are asking for a educational institution that's not an early childhood center. And they have to give a copy of a government issued ID, their driver's license, their voter's card, or their passport. And then they have to complete the entire application form. When we are means testing, if parents are not living together, if they are either divorced or they were never married and they're in two different addresses, the primary caregiver of the child is whose salary we take, as well as any consistent income from the other parent. So if it's a single dad living alone with his child and he's made application, but mom pays him child support of $200 a month, and it's consistent through the courts, or he and the mom claims it's consistent, we will add that to dad's salary. We will not take mom and dad's salary together.
Combined.
Okay, so that's another thing. So people have to apply because they don't know all those little things. They might think, I live in East End and mom lives in West Bay. We're combining both of our salaries, so it's too much, right?
Okay. We have one caller. Didn't realize that we had one. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My name is Cresswell Powery. would like to congratulate Miss Barnes, right?
Yes, sir. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, we met you a few years ago.
yeah. And I was at that. I want to congratulate you congratulate all of you on that wonderful service that you had yesterday afternoon.
Oh, you were there?
Of course I was there.
Oh, we didn't get to see you.
Your thoughts to the
we didn't get to see
association's
you.
executive.
Yes, we'll make sure to let the association know it was them that organized it. We were just privileged to be there.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm very much involved with my 3 granddaughters.
Right.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. I'm sorry we didn't get to see you.
Right. Anyway, I would like to make one suggestion in regards to the cut-off date for children. I mean, for children to enter, or for parents to get that financial assistance. You said September 1st.
Right.
What about? Because I know of a number of children who would turn 4, or who would be 3 on September 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't qualify, so it means that they would have to wait for another 12 months unless parents could come up with that. Could you make it a little bit more flexible, or suggest to make it a little bit more flexible? I'm not saying go beyond September.
Right. Yeah. The reason, Mr. Parry, that we have it like that is because of the chronological order of how we're counting back from compulsory school age. So a child born on September 3rd, unless they have special permission, would not be able to enter year 1 with their birthday on September 3rd, right? So we would then be doubling up the order almost if we approve funding for a child born September 3rd or even September 1st. We would have to pay for them 2 years and then reception and then year 1. It wouldn't push them along in the order simply because their birthday is 2 days after the cutoff. So our cutoff is based on the compulsory school age cutoff. We do make exceptions for children with special needs who have to be according to their therapists and everyone else. If there's a justification that those children have to be in a structured setting, language rich, all those things to help their development, we do make exceptions for those children. The oversight committee usually does if it is in their developmental report that has to be done. So those children will get it. But typically developing children follow the chronological age or the consistent age. 3 years old by September 1st for ECAP, 4 years old by September 1st for reception, and 5 years old by September 1st for year 1. So that's the reason right now we're not flexible. If there's the ability to go even younger, then that'll solve that problem, right? But we do understand that some of those children are born right at the cutoff, and that is an issue for some families. We do accept that.
Does that help you, caller?
Yeah. Well, I would still like them to be a little more flexible, but I guess I don't have. It's not possible for me to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we do understand that. That's something else to try and problem solve around, right?
Mr. Parry, I guarantee that if the child spends that extra time in the center, they'll be more than ready for reception when the other year comes around. They'll be mature and ready and raring to go.
Yeah. But what he's expressing are real life situations. You know, families are in that situation. We've had applicants whose birthday is September 1st,
right after.
You know, not even September 3rd. So we do understand those concerns and those questions, Mr. Parry, and the more heads we can get together to figure it out and, you know, advocate and stuff like that is the better. So thank you for that concern, and we do acknowledge it.
Thank you very much, caller. Before we close out, there was something about Red Bay Primary that you wanted to mention as well.
At present, the Red Bay Primary School does not have a reception class.
Right.
So children who are within the Red Bay catchment need to go ahead and still apply as a reception student to the Department of Education, and then Mr. Levy at the department sends their form to us, and then funding will be granted for them to remain in the centre for that year.
And they're not means tested.
Okay. That's mandatory.
Excellent. Good to know. Any final comments?
Just thank you so much for having us here. You're the first show that we've been on this ECAP period, and I'm really encouraging your listeners, if you don't have children 3 years old yourself, to extend the word to other people. And once again, 244-5735. ECAP@gov.ky, or go on the Ministry of Education's website or visit the government building.
Thank you all very much.
And please do take the time to join in the celebrations this week
as
we celebrate our young children. Every day this week, there's something special planned for them.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you
for having us.
Also, thank you very much. Folks,
Pleasure.
I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. Also want to remind you that we are brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands. Thank you all.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. And Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The team behind the Georgetown Revitalization